Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food?
Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp,
tofu, and rasta pasta?
Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock
in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m.
Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock
in downtown Atlanta.
For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992
or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com.
For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant.
Authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry. Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more. But it's so absorbent, you can use less. So it's always worth it. Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High-quality cigars plus personal customer service with Slow Burn. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. It's more than a mobile lounge. It's an environment and an experience rich in history, luxury, and personality. An elegant extension of any celebration occasion. It's the perfect escape and meeting place, a space where you can relax or enjoy a shared passion. Have Slow Burn plan your next big event, or before you are planning to celebrate your win over your athletic rival, you can shop our collections at www.slowburnwaco.com.
But if they want tab, I'ma do the dab, yeah.
Yeah. I love my HBCU, and boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU, and man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike is literally on the road. I mean, when I say on the road, I mean on the road. But he's fighting everything, and he's gotten in here. And you know what Charles does. He brings it hot and heavy. So welcome to episode 249 of HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora, all things HBCU sports from institutions large and small. From the NAIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture and HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta, along with my co-host, Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. We're filming from our home studios, and sending a signal live to KSWH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University. from Houston, Texas. Let me start out with none other than Mike Washington. How you doing today?
He's probably catching.
Pretty good.
Okay.
Pretty good. How you doing, Doc?
I'm
CB,
hanging in.
how
I'm
you
hanging
doing?
in. Not too bad. Not too bad. Got a little delay, but we'll get all the tomfoolery out. We'll do that. Let me go with Charles Bishop. Mr. Bishop, how you doing today?
Doing well, Doc. Doing well. Have enjoyed a little baseball this weekend. Enjoyed a little golf, and here we are. It's Tuesday before you know it. Tuesday, Thursday before you know it. More HBCU news to get to.
Let me give a shout out to hashtag Yard Talk HTX. That's Yard Talk Houston, Texas. Grambling alum that does a lot of NIL on Twitter there. Also asked a lot of good questions and had a good discussion going on between yesterday, particularly this morning, just about some of the business side of HBCU sports. So follow me over there at Twitter, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, DrKenyatta Cavil. You never know what kind of dialogue we get into to make sure you understand the business of sports, particularly how it affects HBCU sports program. With that being said, man, it's that time for Need for Speed. I know y'all want to talk a little bit about the Diamonds. We'll get into that. I'm still on this speed. You know, we got North Carolina A&T out there, men's and women, especially the men's program, what they did on the indoor, but we got a case of the Joneses over here. Howard University on the women's side, 4x4 relay final with the qualifying time of 3:34.21. It was a meet record. At the Texas relays, Jessica, Cavil, Philadelphia, Amina, Salih, Wellington Borough, New Jersey, I should say, Zama Scott, Georgetown, Ghana, and Jessica Wright, Durham, North Carolina, capped off the weekend winning event with a new school mark of 3:32.89. The four Bison broken their previous record set back at the 2021 NCAA East preliminary round. These women have some speed, which was 3:33.98, I should say, when you talk about that time. They also broke school records, respectively, in individuals of each. That's Gabia and Wright in terms of just what they're doing. Gabia shattered the school bench mark in the 100-meter dash preliminary, clocking in a qualifying time, 11:48. Easter Story held the record at 49 years, 11:50. In the final, the Philadelphia native reset the record again with a fifth place finish Saturday, March 26, producing 11:25 mark. So these folks, these ladies are getting it done. I had to talk about that Need for Speed just coming off the TSU relays, PVA and U relays, or like they say, PV relays down there. A lot going on. I know we'll touch back into some other things, but I want to show out a little bit for the Need for Speed, boy. I like it when they get them around the track, putting them up, picking them up, as they say, putting there. Let me go to you, Charles, with that in mind. What's some news that you want to talk about today?
Yeah, let me switch gears.
Share anything about that? What the women at Howard got done?
Oh no, kudos to Howard's women's track team, especially when you talk about the long-standing history that our HBCU track teams have, and they're coming back to that sort of time period where you start to see them make noise again. Of course, we had North Carolina A&T last year. Kudos to Howard this year in terms of that meet record. But you can't say enough about what our track programs have been putting out there over the past probably 4 or 5 years now.
Good point. Good point. Yeah, we've had a rebirth in track. Yeah. Obviously, for a while, you had a Division II level. Don't want to forget St. Augustine and Lincoln, Pennsylvania, what they've been doing out there. They just continue to march through. But now you're seeing some showcase at the Division I level. You had the class of the conference, Alabama State, Prairie View getting it done in some of the meets around there. But in terms of seeing this national stage kind of rebirth in a lot of ways, it's fascinating to see. So good points there. Let me go to you, Mike. What's on your mind today?
Well, you know, hats off to the Howard 4x4 relay team by far. And I certainly agree with the resurgence of track. But let me switch to bowling. Okay. Howard put it down like
Bowling.
4 flat tires.
Bowling.
But so did Alabama State. They went through a defending champion Prairie View, 3 straight championships, regular season championship, went through them, beat Southern to claim their next SWAC championship. I think it's the last time was 2017. So kudos to the Lady Hornets from Alabama State for bowling. They took some teams to like 7 games to win. So, you know, kudos to Alabama State and that bowling team and what they've been able to do.
Ooh, yes, bowling. I think we got a bowling championship in the MEAC. What you say, Charles?
Let's switch gears a little bit. Take heads towards baseball. SWAC baseball weekly honors the SWAC has tabbed Alabama A&M's Jared Tribbett and Jose Figueroa for SWAC baseball weekly honors for their outstanding performances this week. Hitter of the week, Tribbett won 1 of 3 and added a run to help secure an 8-5 victory for the Bulldogs on Friday. Went 2 of 5 and delivered a home run, 2 RBIs, and 2 runs in game 2 of the series. Tribbett would save his best for last as he went 3 for 5 with a home run and 7 RBIs to lead Alabama A&M to a 15-9 win over Jackson State to close out the 3-game series. Alabama A&M baseball with a series winner over Jackson State this past weekend. And the pitcher of the week was Figueroa, Jose Figueroa. He threw 7 innings, only allowing 1 earned run while striking out 7 batters to help the Bulldogs defeat Jackson State 8-3 on Friday in the first outing of the 3-game series. So shout out to Alabama A&M baseball with that series victory over Jackson State this past weekend.
Yeah, kudos to Alabama A&M and the Bulldogs. That was big to get 2 out of 3 from Jackson State. Obviously, Jackson State had that first weekend match against Bethune-Cookman. Tough match up there. Looked like they may be getting it back into business, splitting, but that, you know how it is, you know, especially at home. You want to get 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to see that a lot more this year in the SWAC. The ability to sweep, it's probably not going to be there very often.
Right.
You want to get, you know, 2 out of 3 in the series. You can do that. Oftentimes it's going to come down, I think, more often than not this year, that rubber match. We've seen that on Texas Southern and Pine Bluff. Another case of a rubber match. So you're going to see that quite often. You had Grambling Southern going into that rubber match. And again, we'll go in a little detail breakdown in terms of the record status of everybody. Look who's hot, who's not. A great call when you talk about Alabama A&M getting the accolades as they deserve in terms of SWAC Players of the Week, according to what they were able to do. They're back in the mix, man. This SWAC race, the depth of baseball in this conference and division, I think it's going to be fascinating to keep up week to week. Usually, you know, you have the baseball geeks, baseball fandom that kind of get into it. But if these races become a little more competitive, we might gain a little more interest there. It's like Mike's had to drop off. Before I get in there, because I'm going to go back a little bit over that bowling that Mike jumped out, but I'm going to do a little something else before we get into that. Let me give a shout out to the lab listeners. Who's in the building today? We have Chad Cooper. Good evening, professors. Yes, indeed. Ricky Burden says good evening. Anthony Johnson, he's getting all in here. That news is Shaq's son at LSU in the transfer portal. Possible family reunion at TSU. That's interesting. I haven't heard any news. I can't tip my cap in terms of what's going on there, but I'll let you know if I see him on campus or plans of the works. Who knows? You know, that Southern seems to find a way to get in that transfer portal and reload in terms of what they did. They do have 2 players. One of them was a senior, so he couldn't come back. But they had another one that had a COVID year, and they decided to take their chances in NBA draft and take their talent to the professional ranks. So that will deal away with a little bit of the gulf and the height that they had down low in the post. So it'll be fascinating to see what that looks like. Dr. Roderick Byron Holmes talking about Howard girls made it out of the East region in the 4x400 last year. That's right. They were tight. Chad Cooper wants to get into a little SU baseball. Had a big weekend at the new Roger Cadar Fieldhouse dedication for the Grand Slam Series TSU next. Chad Cooper, I couldn't find this out, and I was trying to find it out. Is it actually a new field house, or is it the dedication that is new, or is it a combination of the two? And I was trying to really get that information. So if you can share that, it would be fascinating to dig a little deeper in regards to that. But I know this, when I saw the facility, the highlights, it looks tremendous. We can say that without a doubt, whether that is the case. Chuck Hunt says HBC All-Star basketball game will be aired Sunday on CBS in New Orleans and Lakefront Arena, and that is 3 p.m. Central. Thank you for that information. Certainly plan to check that out, as you have some of the talented players we've seen throughout the SWAC MEAC discussed out of the SIC, CIAA, and some NIA programs there. Lonnie Shaw says North Carolina is rocking Duke versus Carolina Final Four. I don't care about schools built on slave labor. Fascinating perspective. I must say, wow. I do agree. I do agree with you, Lonnie. I'm not sure how to put it out there like that, but it happens to be the truth. So can't say you're lying. I cannot say you're lying. But you did go straight to the point there. I wasn't really thinking that much about the matchup, but you're right. There are a lot of people that are fascinating about the uniqueness of that game. Karen Griffin says bowling. Yes, we got a little bowling love, and that'll give me a chance before I go back and shout out some more people in here. North Carolina A&T, remember, they are still in the MEAC for bowling, and they got it done. They defeated Delaware State. North Carolina A&T State won the 2022 MEAC Bowling Championship Sunday afternoon at Penn Boys at the beach with a 4-0 victory over Delaware State. Shut them out, skunk. Top seeded Aggies ranked number 5 in the National 10-Pin Coaches Association. That is NTCA for those that may know. Top 25 poll. Won their second straight MEAC championship, 3rd out of the last 4 years, and 7th overall. Getting it done. North Carolina A&T State also earned the MEAC's automatic bid to the NCAA Bowling National Championship. The selection show will air on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, live NCAA. So we'll get a chance to know where Alabama State, North Carolina A&T, where they'll be seated in this tournament. Kudos to the Aggies and the Hornets in terms of what was looking at there. Let me get a shout out before we get into our first break and come back and take a deeper dive a little bit about this baseball. Don't forget Domino's. RB Parker, FAMU Pro Day. Yes, Pro Day was big. We joked a little bit that coming in. They said 30 NFL scouts were down there. I think Charles was either trying to count to see how many were there, or did they show up after Coach Prime says, this is not a good look. This is not a good look.
I'm not saying that, but you know, Jackson State fans, they gonna tease fans about it.
Yeah. You're right. I can't put that on. I tried. James Knox says VUU for life. Yes, CIAA in the house. Steve Miller in the house. What's up, Doc? Juan C. Hill. Yeah, we're gonna shout out some folks today. Reginald Johnson, greetings, good brothers. Hashtag ITHBCUSL. Go ahead. Is that a BCU baseball fan in the house? I don't know. Watching from Montgomery, Alabama, AD Drew. Chris Tucker, Anthony Weston, A&M is about to lose Johnson to the transfer portal. Yeah, it happens. It just means you can go pick some people up. It happens. SBB TSU is watching. G. Boom Holly is always in the house. None other than Donna Glover gives a nice wave out there representing Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, as well as Prairie A&M University. All that she does. Edwin Dwight Moore. Good evening, Dean and Professors. Yes. Troy Lamont Coleman is in the house. Excellent point, Doc. I appreciate that. I try. Reginald Kennedy. Who else we got in here? Wenzo Phillips. Thanks, Coach Prime. Edwin Dwight Moore. Hell of a bowling championship this past Sunday. SU versus Bama State. Every roll and every pin mattered. Congratulations to the Hornets slipping out with the 7th game victory. Boy, yeah, that's anytime you get those competitive matches, I don't know whatever level it is, it doesn't matter. It is great. The aesthetics in terms of what you see, just the pulsing things that come out of it. Reginald Johnson, FAMU Pro Day possibly benefited from SU Pro Day following day 2. Okay, yeah, maybe. I'm not sure Florida State right now has a whole bunch of.
I'm about to say the more prospects over at FAMU now.
Yeah, right.
There's more prospects at FAMU right
hey,
now.
as you said earlier, you know, as Lonnie Shaw said, just keeping it real, just keeping it real. Word on the street is that Coach Kona made a future home might be back at A&T. Y'all sure y'all want Coach Maynard? I'm sure y'all might want something bigger than that, the way y'all talking about where y'all want to go. But yeah, certainly he is a big time favorite son, quarterback there. He's won everywhere he win. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they make a run at him. But I'm not sure if that's in the eyes of what your athletic director wants. Going into the Colonial Athletic Association, I'd be interested to see, would they see a coach that came from A&T or a coach in the SWAC that obviously won a championship there, won at Winston-Salem State, not so well at Hampton? Is that the direction they're going, or will they look for a proverbial bigger name? I'll be interested to see what that may look at in terms of that. A&M has to get coaches first, laugh out loud. He's going back to the pink scooter. That's right, Dr. SU. Who? Yeah, exactly. You know, we don't have no love for all that. We HBCU hot dog friends around here. Let's get into this break, and we'll be right back and see if we can get Mike Washington back in the picture. You see, trying to sneak in there. We're going to give him a break. We'll come back right after this.
Oh, that spin class was brutal. Well, you can try using the Buick's massaging seat. Ooh, yeah, that's nice. Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on?
Sure, it's wireless.
Pick something we all
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you, all of you.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir.
Yes, this is Dr. Bill with Inside HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We got Mike Washington snuck back in here. With that, I wanted to give a shout out to Dr. Kiki Baker-Barnes. You know, we go back when she came to the HBCU ARC Athletic Research Consortium. Man, it goes back maybe a decade now. She was the athletic director at Dillard. As many of you know, she was serving as the interim commissioner of the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. They had lost Xavier, if you would, but then they turned around and added several schools, including Suno, and a big one was Wiley College out of the Red River Athletic Conference going over the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. Well, she is making history as the first Black African-American woman appointed to this position. Founded in 1981, the GCAC is a conference that competes in the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics, NAIA, and is a league entirely comprised of historically Black colleges and universities, HBCUs, as you know, from Arkansas, Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, and now Texas. Barnes said, I'm honored to have earned the trust and confidence of my colleagues for the purpose of leading Gulf Coast Athletic Conference into the future. My commitment is to bring creative vision, excellence, direction, strong partnerships that will advance the conference in the competitive landscape for our student athletes. As I embrace this new opportunity, I'm especially grateful to my colleagues, staff, and student athletes at Dillard University for our collective work in rising from adversity to winning championships and becoming a national model of student athlete success, end quote. Let me go to you, Charles, first. What's your thoughts on the announcement that the interim tag is removed and now we have a full commissioner in Dr. Kiki Baker-Barnes?
It speaks volumes in terms of what they think about Dr. Barnes, Baker-Barnes' leadership to take the interim tag off. And anytime you start off a sentence with making history as the first, you know, that speaks volumes. That's huge. I'm looking forward to what she's going to be able to do and continue to do in the GCAC. She is proven in terms of her success as an AD, and really looking forward to what she's going to bring to that conference.
Before I go to you, Mike, check this out. She's been serving since 2006 as the athletic director at Dillard University, as I said, model program. Throughout this time, she served as the only intercollegiate female athletic director in the state of Louisiana. Wow.
Wow.
So during Women's History Month, it's befitting that we celebrate Dr. Kiki Baker-Barnes as she continues to make history. That's fascinating. She made history as the first female and Black president of Gulf Coast Athletic Conference and as the first Black woman commissioner in the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics, said Dr. Roderick L. Smothers, Senior, Philip Under Smith College president and chairman of the GCAC Council of Presidents. Now she assumed the helm of the GCAC full-time and permanently. I have utmost faith that as a commissioner, she will be impeccable, steering the conference to new heights and remain a trailblazer in collegiate sports. Yeah, fascinating. What are your thoughts on Dr. Kiki Baker-Barnes, Mike Wash?
Man, two things stand out. If you read her bio, says in her interim, when she had the interim tag, return of champions. She returned several championships to the league. Wow. You can stop right there. Then she's grown the conference. Return of championships, growth of the conference, right there. And it's only fitting that this interim tag be removed. I've always been confused about this interim tag personally, because if somebody is going to be the commissioner, they're the commissioner. In the corporate world, they're the commissioner. I mean, seriously, there's no commissioner or interim tag there. She's proven without a doubt that she's capable. She has a confidence. There's no interim whatsoever. She's proven she can do it. Growth the conference right there. Stop right there. Restoration of championships to the conference. Right there. You had me. She's unequivocally the best choice. Not because she's a woman, but because she has the goods to do it. So I'm a big fan. When you told me you had worked with her, networked with her several years ago, I was already sold in. But now, I mean, it's only fitting. Congratulations, Dr. Barnes.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations.
Yes, this summer the league will stand at 8 teams, expanding back into Alabama with the addition of Oakwood University into Texas for the first time, with Wiley College and the return of athletics of Southern University and New Orleans. That's kudo one for them being able to return to athletics, expanding both East and West. Alabama back there, and then new trailblazer into Texas. Man, that's pretty high level when you think about that. So I was kind of excited to hear that. Since we're talking about commissioners or leadership of athletic programs, obviously it's come out. North Carolina Central expected to hire alumnus Lewis Skip Perkins as AD. That's happened now. Picking up for Dr. Ingrid Wicker McCree, North Carolina Central's AD since 2008. What are your thoughts on Perkins, Lewis Perkins? He served at Arkansas Pine Bluff, served at Howard University. I think he even had a stint at Hampton. if you would. So he has some experience specifically for HBCUs. So he's had championships during his height. North Carolina Central, what are your thoughts, starting with you, Mike, with this move, with them bringing home a favorite son, if you would, to take over the helms at North Carolina Central University in the MEAC?
No, I think, first of all, yeah, it's kind of, you ever heard of the prodigal son from biblical terms?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah.
And, in a different term. So I can't call him Skip. Doctor, you can call him Skip. I can't call him Skip Perkins. But he's a dynamic education leader. He has the pedigree. To me, it was only a right decision. And not only that, when you go somewhere else and have that experience, you can come back home and share those experiences and grow the institution. So I think it's the right move. I think also it's the timing as well. There's always something about timing of an announcement. I don't know all the ins and outs, but something about the timing says, speaks volumes as well.
Before I go to you, Charles, and your thoughts, shout out to Edwin Dwight Moore. As you talk about the corporate world, he says interim equals corporate contractor. That was a little that's what it means. Charles, what are your thoughts on Lewis Skip Perkins as AD of North Carolina Central?
Yeah, I think Mike touched on it. You talk about pedigree, and no stranger to the job. We've seen him here in the SWAC at UAPB. Won championships there, 5 championships, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely, I remember basketball and some track championships in there. Yeah, women's cross country, men's cross country, women's soccer as well. And then from there to Howard, oversaw the renovation of Byrd Gymnasium, Academic Support Center. So when you talk about checking the boxes, he definitely checks the boxes. And you get an opportunity to bring a native son home with pedigree. What's better than that? So kudos to North Carolina Central, great hire.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Should be fascinating to watch. I want to shout out Chuck Hunt. He says, I watched Dr. Kiki Baker Barnes play basketball in high school at Minden High School in Minden, Louisiana. She was awesome to watch in the early 1990s. She and I graduated from high school the same year in 1993. Chuck always has some interesting perspectives and connections with so many different things. Shout out to Chuck.
Who does Chuck know in Louisiana?
That's
Chuck
what I'm saying. Who does Chuck not know?
Exactly. Shout out to Carl Edmond. With that being said, let me get in here some MEAC announcers. 2022 ESPNU baseball and softball TV schedule. We'll get a little MEAC baseball and softball. I like that. I like it. MEAC has announced that the baseball and softball regular season game that will be televised live on ESPNU on Friday, April 15th. Yeah, North Carolina Central will be in Norfolk, Virginia to take on Norfolk State at the NSU softball field. The first game of the doubleheader will be shown live on ESPNU at 11 a.m. ESPNU will be back in Norfolk, Virginia on Friday, April 29th for a baseball game between Delaware State and reigning MEAC champion Norfolk State. A contest that will pit the top 2 teams in the preseason predicted order of finish. That game will be live on ESPNU at 3 p.m. All games aired on ESPN Network will also be available through ESPN app on computers, smartphone, tablets, streaming devices to fans who receive their high-speed internet connection or video subscription from an affiliated service provider. I like that. Able to get a little bit of baseball and softball, HBCU style, out of the MEAC. That should be fascinating to watch. Let me put a pin in it right here. We're getting to halftime. Since we're talking about baseball, we'll come back on the other side. I'm going to give you some updates on the baseball games that were played this week. We'll give you where people are in the standings. We'll take a little look at the MEAC SWAC, even take a gaze at OVC for softball at Tennessee State. No baseball there. And then we'll go to the Big South in terms of North Carolina A&T that plays baseball. Hampton and A&T in the sophomore side. No Hampton for baseball. Man, it's kind of hard to think about it when you talk about not everybody at the HBCU level playing baseball. But you can't say that for the SWAC.
I'm confused.
It's 12 deep. So we'll get into who's hot and who's not. Stick with us at the halftime. We'll be back in the third quarter, or should I say, we're just into the middle relievers. This is the 5th inning. Stick with us. We're going to the bottom right after this break.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside HBCU Sports Lab. Since we just talked about the MEAC baseball and softball in terms of television games, let's stay with the MEAC and get into some baseball first. Some of the guys that you need to keep your eyes on is Alonso, Delaware State batting .353 on the season thus far. Trey Page, Delaware State, .339 batting average, getting it done. And Sebastian Severa, Coppin State, is at .333, tied with Ralph Rodriguez. Following out the top five is Ryan Howe at Maryland Eastern Shore with a .328 batting average. Doing pretty good there. In terms of some pitchers, James DeLoach, 3 wins from Norfolk State. Evan Neblett, 2 wins. Maryland Eastern Shore, you got Jordan Hamburg matching that, along with Nolan Manzer, as well as Noah Covington. And that is from Coppin State, Norfolk State, and Maryland Eastern Shore, respectively, all with 2 wins on the early season. It's a close race right now. Nobody is separating themselves. You have Coppin State at 5-3. In terms of the conference race, just a game back. Norfolk State and Maryland Eastern Shore are tied at 4-4 in the conference race. Delaware State 2 games back at 3-5, giving you some ideas. Coppin State is the hottest team going right now, winning 2 straight games. Norfolk State, even though they're 1 game back, they have lost 2 straight in terms of what's going on there. Let me stick with you, Mike Washington, in terms of the MEAC. Can you tell anything yet, or is it just simply too early? Do you like the fact that the competition is still competitive in this 4-team MEAC race?
I like it's the latter. Here's why. You talked about some of the individuals batting. Coppin State is team batting average of .280. You got Maryland Eastern Shore team batting average of .263. Then pitching, Maryland Eastern Shore is the closest team to a ERA of 5. So it's really too early to tell statistically. You got some folks that stand out, but it's really too early. This is going to be a competitive conference for sure. You mentioned some of the individuals. The other thing is fielding. Man, if you look at overall fielding, Coppin State is heads and shoulders above the rest in terms of fielding percentage. But I'd like to see. I need a couple more data
defense
points.
will travel. Defense will travel.
Couple more data points, but Coppin State is looking to be that defensive dude on the block. So we'll see after maybe another week or two where this shakes out.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Mike. Defense means everything. Doc, you and I were talking about that this past Sunday watching Texas Southern UAPB, how defense travels. You know, when you can make those routine plays and not put, you know, extra runners on base, things of that nature, just simple throws, you know, things of that nature, making the routine plays to where you're not putting more stress on the pitcher. So I do keep an eye on fielding percentage, especially as we get a little later into the year, and just see what teams are just making just good, solid outs, inning in, inning out.
Yep. Jeff Roberts says, how much does it cost to fund a D1 baseball program? It really depends on what you are talking about in terms of, are you including facilities, you know, a baseball facility, especially if you're talking about lights for night games, it can get quite expensive bringing a facility. But scholarship wise, you have the 11.7, which is the weirdest thing to me when you're talking about the NCAA of how they break down scholarships. And most times when you talk about these teams, they fielding 27, 30, 35 players on a team. So most players do not get full scholarships. You get some pitchers, they may get 2/3. You have a really good pitcher, you might find a way to try to get a full scholarship, but that's generally not the case, which is going to be interesting when you talk about these new guidelines for the NCAA. If I can kind of sneak this in, as you see the updates to the NCAA, I'm intrigued about what this means because, you know, SEC has been pushing about increasing the scholarship limit for baseball in terms of what, and obviously they can afford to do that. Well, now you're talking about that narrow gap in ability for your mid-major, low-major programs, SWAC programs, if you would, to be able to play with SEC even during some of the preseason games and midweek games. It becomes even tougher if you have teams that have the depth to be able to go 11.7 and above in scholarship. So that's something to keep your eyes on. So I'm fascinated about that framework. Mike, did you have any comments you wanted to talk about in terms of baseball? I know both of you all are big fans of baseball in a lot of ways, but you've come up through the youth and allowing your sons to play. What are you seeing in terms of just the cost about filling a team at the collegiate level?
Yeah, I think it can become a potential arms race. I don't know what the average scholarship is. I think it was something like 12.4, 12.5, or what the limit is for baseball scholarship. But it's, as you alluded to, it's facilities. You also have to consider equipment. You also have to travel. How competitive are you going to be on the travel schedule? Are you going to play folks outside of your conference? So, I mean, the SEC is talking some things. I've heard some things, and actually on the West Coast, that they're considering some things as well. Because I have some folks that are still in the baseball. Yeah, so it can get, and you could have a couple of conferences that have a competitive, there I use the corporate term, competitive advantage, if they allow them to increase the scholarship limit. Because if you look at
it
teams,
will change the whole dynamic. You will see the differential, in my opinion, really explode between these mid-major, low-major programs if you see SEC, Pac-12, and the like being able to expand the scholarship levels. That's on top of the ability, obviously, to pay that you have these programs doing for the cost of living that they're able to do now. So they're already doing that, but then you add in the fact that you can spread the scholarship. That's something to really keep your eyes on when you talk about the movement in the SWAC and how this conference of 12 member now is really stretched out. So that's kind of fascinating and one of the things I'm always wanting to keep my eyes on. Charles, did you want to get in?
No, that's a really good question in terms of what does it cost to fund, and especially Mike, you touched on the transportation aspect, especially if you're trying to play a schedule that quote unquote makes your team better. Playing those Power 5 teams, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Because that's a very interesting debate, especially with regards to Jackson State baseball, because Jackson State does play Tougaloo. They will play Russ. They will play a lot of Division II, or they will play a few Division II teams regionally. But that's always a very interesting debate in terms of, does that catch up to Jackson State baseball, especially when they get into SWAC tournament play in terms of who they're playing? Are they getting better during the course of the season? So that's a interesting data point to kind of take a look at in terms of transportation and what does it look like? What does the expanding of the scholarships look like for baseball for HBCU?
Then they also jump in there and play one of those NIA programs, which have a different scholarship limit. But part of that is also trying to get more games at home. One, so you can get, reduce the travel costs that you talk about, and you give your fan base some exposure and ability to celebrate the team beyond those weekend conference games. So it's that unique mix about how you do that in competitive schedule. We see that with Alabama State, Bethune-Cookman, but they play in a region coming out of Florida with all those Division I teams, obviously Alabama, Georgia. So the vicinity of where you can play those schools is also unique for them to be able to do that. You kind of see that with Texas, with so many Division I programs, where it's easier to put them on the schedule and get that Tuesday, Wednesday, early ride out for classes, play the game, get them back that night so they can get back into class the next day. And so that unique mix is always important there. Before we get in this break, I did want to give some love to softball, at least give you some updates on the standings. Then we'll come back and get into the SWAC, where everybody say the action is in a lot of ways to let you know what's going on there. Fascinated about this race. I just find myself Friday, Saturday nights, and Sunday nights looking at those scores to see who was able to get it done, getting into my Twitter feed, going into the websites and seeing who was able to get the big win, who had some tough losses. Did you get to that rubber match? Who was able to get it done on Sunday when that comes down to it? Some teams looking to see, can they get the sweep? Can some team find a way to get a win to keep things going? But before we do that, for the SWAC softball standings, you have Morgan State sitting at the top of the conference, 5-1 early part of the season, 13-10 overall winning record, 2 straight wins in terms of the win streak. Behind them is another Maryland team, Maryland Eastern Shore, sitting at 4-1, just 7-18 overall. But you have Howard 3-2, 12-18, winning 2 games. Maryland Eastern Shore had won 1. You have North Carolina Central at 3-2. Norfolk State follows them at 3-3. South Carolina State, along with Norfolk State, we just talked about, also 2-4, but losing 2 straight games. Delaware State 2-4. They were able to get some big wins as they were on a losing streak and got their first 2 wins of the season as they came in 0-18, 2-18 now. Cavil State is struggling, 0-5 overall, 0-21, 21 straight losses, as you can imagine, just trying to figure it out. We'll see a losing streak that will stop on the men's side in the SWAC that we talk about. But for softball, beautiful to see the MEAC has all 8 teams that are able to field the softball team. Let's take this last break, get back, and give you some updates on the SWAC. Before we do that, I did want to talk about these independent softball programs. You have in the Big South, Hampton and North Carolina A&T. Hampton is just 3-6 in the conference race. North Carolina A&T is 2-7, 12-19, 11-17. That is 8th and 10th, respectively. Tough race there. OVC, Tennessee State has a softball team. They're sitting at 2-4 in terms of what they're doing in the race, sitting at 8th spot. That is of 11 teams. And you saw the 8th and 10th spot. That is of 10 teams in the softball for the Big South. Take this break. We'll be right back and give you some updates as we get into SWAC and give you that update on the men's side for baseball with North Carolina A&T 0-3 on the season, 9-14. That is Big South. They're in the 11th spot, sitting in last. 5-game losing streak. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break and get into the SWAC baseball.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go, why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High-quality cigars plus personal customer service with Slow Burn. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. It's more than a mobile lounge. It's an environment and an experience rich in history, luxury, and personality. An elegant extension of any celebration occasion. It's the perfect escape and meeting place, a space where you can relax or enjoy a shared passion. Have Slow Burn plan your next big event, or before you are planning to celebrate your win over your athletic rival, you can shop our collections at www.slowburnwaco.com.
But if they want to tab, I'ma do the dab, yeah.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Let's get into some softball first. If it's not dead. East side, west side, I should say, getting it done in so many different ways. You got Texas Southern sitting at 8-1. Southern is 6-3, with Prairie View A&M 6-3 as well. Alcorn State 4-5. Grambling State 2-7. Pine Bluff is picking up the back at 8-1-8 in terms of what's going on there. On the east side, interesting race going on there when you talk about that perspective. Let me go to you, Mike. Give me an update. What do you think about the West Division of the SWAC in softball?
And softball, it's all about TSU. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, it's been about TSU. It's been about
hadn't nothing changed.
No, seriously, nothing changed. I wish I could ask so. Man, if you look at batting average, fielding percentage, TSU. Seriously, it is all about TSU this year. What are they, 8-1 in the SWAC? They're slugging. Their slugging percentage, Doc, is off the charts right now. So it's all about TSU right now.
Yeah, they did, and they rebounded from that tough loss to Southern, and that was on the road where they took it to Southern. That sits at 6-3. Really solid to be able to get two out of 3 games down there. Obviously, when you talk about the East Division, you have Alabama State sitting at 6-3. Valley is sitting at 5-3. Yeah, Valley, Mike. That Valley is sitting at 5-3. Jackson State behind them at 5-4. Bethune-Cookman, surprise some, they're just sitting at 4-5. FAMU is 4-5, at Alabama A&M at 2-6 in terms of what's going on there. Any thoughts in terms of West, East for softball, Charles?
I think it still resides with Texas Southern over in the West, but it does bring up a curious question for me in terms of what is the secret in the sauce with Texas Southern and their softball program? Is it the number of players that they have an opportunity to recruit here in Texas, a huge softball state, or what is the case with regards to Texas Southern? Because year in, year out, we always are talking about them in terms of being one of the better softball programs in the SWAC.
Yeah, that's a great point. A couple of things that stand out to me. This is the assistant coach that took over the head job, so they've been able to do it over 2 coaches. Obviously, she's just taken over the last couple of years. Hadn't been able to get the ultimate prize with the championship in the postseason, but regular season she continues to do what Texas Southern has dominated. The other interesting thing to me is they don't have a quote-unquote home field on campus. They play at the park. Memorial Park, and still able to get it done. But yes, there's so much softball played around this region that they have a really good chance to get a lot of quality players. The other thing that I think they've really done really well is packaging and recruiting high academic talented softball players. So they're able to also make sure that those players get academic scholarships to partner with some of their athletic scholarships, which to me has given them the depth that you don't see with a lot of teams in the SWAC, particularly in the West. You see it to some degree with the talent in the East Division over the different years, but they've been one of the most consistent programs. Let's go into baseball where it gets really interesting with Bethune-Cookman. Had their first loss. They on a one-game losing streak. They had reeled off 5 in a row in the conference, but Alabama State was able to get it done, at least get one game to not get swept. So they sit in the second spot at 4-2. A couple of teams sitting at 3-3, FAMU and Alabama A&M. A&M got some big victories when you think they improved to 3-3, 500 on the season, able to take 2 out of 3 at home against Jackson State. We haven't seen that in a while. And Valley sits in 2-4 in terms of the East. Let me go to the West, where Texas Southern able to take 2 of 3. Pine Bluff has improved, but they were able to get 2 of 3 and get it done. 2 straight games after they lost their first one. Prairie View A&M had a tough loss. They were 3-3 on the season, thinking they maybe get some momentum, get the sweep at home. Played a tough one in the second match, so you can see that Alcorn had not given up the season, although they came in 0-5 and were 0-16 on the season. But they got their first win of the season, a thrilling game that got done on the road against Prairie View to improve to 1-5. Credit to the Braves to get it done. But Prairie View maybe wasted opportunity. We'll see how much that game may come back to haunt them over the year. But you have Arkansas Pine Bluff that drops to 3-3. Grambling drops to 3-3 after they lost 2 out of 3 to Southern. A chance for them to make a little bit of statement. Southern, you thought they were out of it? No, they're just sitting at 3-3. So you got a gauntlet of teams at 500 in the middle on the west side. This is one side to keep your eyes on. I see you shaking your head, Mike. I'm going to go with you first, then I go to Charles as he starts to shake his head, trying to figure it all out. Give us some data points, drop us some thoughts. What do you got, Mike?
Remember when we announced Bethune and FAM were coming into the SWAC? We were talking about football, but then we went to baseball. We said, where does the pendulum swing for baseball? In the words of Denny Green, they are who we thought they were. Bethune right now, number 1, FAMU's number 3, Alabama State's number 2. The one caveat is, what the heck has happened to Jackson State? Usually they are in the tops of the East. They normally have the highest batting percentage, the top in slugging percentage. That's the one surprise. The other thing is Texas Southern slumped off a little bit. They have since found baseball again. They 5-1 in the SWAC, and they are leading the league in fielding percentage and batting average, team batting average. So a lot that we expected, but some surprises. So I'm like, this is going to be very interesting as we get into the real meat of the season.
Yeah, Barrick Williams comes in here. Go Jags. Yeah, it took 2 out of 3 from Grambling. I saw you, Barrick. I know y'all had a good time down there with the festivities. Boy, they know how to get it done. I can't wait to go back to Baton Rouge for a baseball game over there on the bluff. Barrick will take care of me. I know he will. JSU finally has competition in the East. Oh, talk a little noise. Yeah, just couldn't help himself. Had to get it in.
Remember,
Juan CC, what's up with PD softball? Yeah, they're struggling a little bit. They usually are able to at least stay a step or two behind. And then they had that year where they got on Texas Southern not to be. But back to the baseball in terms of this. Before I go to you and Charles, your thoughts. Gabe Vasquez batting .453. Jeremy Gaines, Texas Southern University, batting .435. CJ Castillo, Texas Southern, batting .394. Hill, Jackson State says don't get the bats down too bad on. So we got one guy out there at least at .373. And then you have FAMU Grant Royale, .368 to give you some ideas. And then you got the home run. Jonathan Thomas of Texas Southern University with 5 home runs, and he's not even in the top batting average. Let you know what they're getting done over there. Cameron Buford, Grambling, 5 home runs. Corey King of Alabama State with 5 home runs. Jared Triplett, Alabama A&M with 5 home runs. But we got some hitters. Michael Godot, Texas Southern with 4 home runs in terms of early season. Boy, these folks are swinging it back. we'll get and give you some updates in terms of pitcher side after Charles gives some of his updates. What are your thoughts, Charles?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the early surprises, I think, is Jackson State. I know that they've had a couple of season-ending injuries that have really kind of rocked the roster, but they've gotten off to a slow start with Bethune-Cookman sweeping and then losing a series to Alabama A&M. So I think some early cause for concern for the Jackson State baseball team, but we'll see how they progress through the rest of the season. But I think the story thus far has been just Texas Southern has beaten the cover off the ball. You know, they're batting 331 as a team. They got 3 out of the top 5 guys in the conference in terms of batting average. And I know I looked at this stat and I had to look back twice. And I was like, is that right? They've already stolen 117 bases. They're 117 out of 135. Yeah. You know, it was like, whoa. Wait a second, 117 out. We ain't even at the halfway point yet. So, you know, they are really an exciting offensive team in terms of what they're getting, what they've been able to do. But, you know, normally we see Texas Southern kind of start off slow and they build that momentum up and get really hot in the SWAC tournament. But to see them jump out to this hot start early, I tell you what, it's going to be fun, that race over there in the SWAC West.
Based on the new numbers, they have become the new Jackson State, to be honest.
It does look Jackson State-ish, yeah. You're right.
Yeah, this is the type of numbers that Jackson State would put up.
Yeah, great point. We've always known they like to play the small ball, speed around the bases. But if you can do both, speed around the bases, play a little small ball, and sweep fences, this should be entertaining. This may be something to keep your eyes on. As you talked about leading the nation in stolen bases and top couple of guys up there, you got Jonathan Thomas with 32 stolen bases. Justin Cooper, Texas Southern, with 23 stolen bases. Jatavius Melton, the Jackson State, has 16. Jeremy Gaines, the Texas Southern, has 15. And Christopher Patterson, 14. Man, look at that gap. 32 stolen bases by Jonathan Thomas. What is he doing?
Right.
And then you sneak in, you be like, oh, well, this is Justin Cooper, Texas Southern. I'll put up 23 just to make it interesting.
One data point to be mindful of. It doesn't show up for now. Pitching. You have 3 Alabama State pitchers. They are historically a good pitching team. You have 3 Alabama State pitchers with ERAs below 3. That will show its rear its head toward the middle end of the season, and particularly when you get into conference play. It's not showing up now, but it will show its head.
Yeah, I see Breon Puller only has a 1.50 ERA.
Exactly.
I see him.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Think about that Alabama State Bethune-Cookman matchup. It could be something special. We just saw what happens. Wait until the second half of the season when it flipped. You got Samar Page, Grambling at 231. You talked about under 3. You have Peyton Harris, Alabama State at 242. Jordan Martinez for Texas Southern. So that they can pitch a little bit too is at 3.
Yep.
And then you have Juan Morlanda, Jackson State at 3.4. In terms of wins, Breon Puller, Alabama State with 4. Austin King, Alabama State with 3. Lewis Liftrat, Bethune-Cookman at 3. Juan Morlando, Jackson State also with 3 wins. And Eric Gonzalez, Jackson State with 3 wins. So it's going to be fascinating to keep up with this. We'll give you some strikeouts here. Shamar Page with 56 early on in the season. Juan Merlando continues to get his name in the mix with 45. Eric Gonzalez, Jackson State at 42. Interesting to see that you hear Jackson State a little more on the pitching side, but
exactly,
which is a little difference too.
Yeah.
So we'll see and continue to look. It is early. You only had 2 series played this time. We hadn't even at the halfway mark, but it's fascinating to watch on this. You can't get this type of baseball information on the SWAC or HBCUs anywhere else. So we're happy to give it to you, but that'll do it for the show today. Just giving you those updates on those records. Fascinating information. So kudos to both of y'all being able to break a lot of that down, giving those extra data points. So I want to say thank you for the listeners to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends or colleagues. I am Dr. Cavil. That's
hold up, Doc.
Kenyatta Cavil. Go ahead.
One thing. TV relays this week, the unveiling of the memorial for the 4 track and field star that died in February of 2000. It was unveiled at the PV relays, and those runners were Jerome Jackson, Houston Watson, Vernon James, and Samuel Simmons. Coach Hoover Wiggins, of course, he survived, but the 4 players unfortunately perished in the accident. So unveiling of the memorial, a big moment in PV history. So thank you for the opportunity to let me jump that in. That was a very sentimental and very sad, emotional moment at the relays.
Yes, I'm most certainly glad that you got that in. We started it with the women in terms of how what they're able to do, and then we ended with the PV Railers, a little dedication. So I'm glad you put that in. And it's right at the entrance, prominent place and position. Well done for fallen Prairie View A&M Panthers in terms of that. So I'm glad that you're able to get that in. I am Dr. Kenyatta, Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Again, we thank you for listening to Dr. Cavil's Inside HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, every Tuesday and Thursday, right here at 6 o'clock. We look forward to you on Thursday as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Might sneak in and give you a little guest to give you some updates on some things going around HBCU landscape. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's Dr. KENYATTACAVIL. Again, that's Dr. KENYATTACAVIL. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube is Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you download my JBN, my BCSN. Check us out on YouTube. Follow, like, subscribe. Dream big and continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles.
Of course.
Mike.
Lecture.
Dismiss.